After World War II, civilians of the 1950s found themselves at home glued to the modern invention of television. Theaters battle this comfort by creating the immersive technique called Cinerama, which entangled 3 cameras to film and project side by side, followed by the invention of anamorphic. And just how Ultra Panavision 70 reimagined the theater experience, the similar immersiveness of X-Pan continues to win over every cinematic storytelling photographer. Yeah, I know, I said cinematic. Y'all can cringe away.
In this video, I'm going to feature the Hasselblad 907X and why I genuinely believe and feel like this is the closest thing to a X-Pan digital experience. On top of that, this will also act as the part 2 from a video where I documented a local wildfire. This is the aftermath of that fire. Throughout this video, we're gonna be using the Fujifilm TX1. This is basically the same camera that was the Hasselblad X-Pan. They did a collab. They look a little bit different, but they're literally the same camera. On top of that, I want to talk about the Hasselblad 907X. I think this is the closest feeling I've gotten so far to the digital X-Pan experience. It's still a totally different experience. Obviously, this is a rangefinder film camera. And, there's not even a viewfinder or anything on this, but Hasselblad gave us an actual X-Pan crop on here. We're going to adapt the X-Pan lenses directly onto this camera, and then we'll rock the Hasselblad 55V on it as well. So Portra 400 in there, but I brought some infrared black and white negative film from Rollei. Really excited to do that. And we're going to do it in X-Pan or X-Pan lens adapter. There's no shutter in this. So the lenses have leaf shutters, which is pretty cool. So when you adapt a lens to it, it goes to electronic shutter. So when you do that, obviously you can get jello and everything in there. So Hasselblad themselves make this adapter, which I absolutely love. I think that's freaking amazing that they're giving that to us. You guys can see this camera really is a beautiful experience. The main thing though, we're gonna go over into our menu. We're gonna go into our crop modes. Look at that. It even says X-Pan. So obviously this isn't as big as the X-Pan sensor. The X-Pan is 2 full frame like sensors next to each other basically. That's what would be a true X-Pan. This is not that. I think it's like 0.79 wider than a regular thing. So it's not double, it's 0.79, so not even close. But we have our shutter speed right here, aperture right here. Obviously, ISO you can map to there if you need to, but really just this experience. It's not just fun, but it is unique. Looking through this viewfinder, you feel like you're like looking at a National Geographic fold out of just like a centerfold. I think that means something else, but shout out to Master Supply Co. for the leather vest. Gotta love leather. All right, guys, we came up here to try to get the burntness, but it's just burnt and barren. I'm excited to come up here and try to document the aftermath, but it's literally just crispy mountainsides, and it's really hard to photograph. Yeah, I'm just being a crybaby because I suck as a photographer, I know. Jericho keeps saying the side of the mountain that he goes to, he said it looks pretty crazy. So. Is it weird the other day I had a thought about possibly selling the X-Pan? Just because I use it so much. I don't see a giant landscape shot here. I see more of like that texture. It looks like a different planet. And then like the sun's creating shadows from like the burnt twigs down there. Little pops of green. Yeah, I think we load right here. The worst way to load a roll of film just out in the bright sunlight, but so you guys can see, this is the full X-Pan crop. This is two 35 millimeter, full frame side by side, but this camera does shoot standard 35 millimeter as well. And the film counter and everything recalibrates basically. Pretty amazing. Also, shout out to Peter McKinnon. These film holders, you guys can see, like these things. This thing's a tank. Oopsie, just a $5,000 camera and dirt on my hands. So we're shooting some Rollei infrared black and white negative film. Don't mind the gunshots in the backdrop. So we have 20 exposures on the panoramic. If we go to the standard 35 millimeter, we have 36 exposures. So these bushes in front of me, I wish I could get this in frame. But through a viewfinder, I'd have to lay on the ground and stuff. And even then, I don't think I'll be able to get in there. So that's where the 907X is going to come in. I'll be able to frame up and use the LCD. But the viewfinder on this TX1 X-Pan is gorgeous, super clean, super clear. Everything's super easy to read, super easy to focus. The exposure meter, we just have a minus and a plus and a red dot in the middle to let you know when you're exposed properly. Really, really, really. It reminds me of my Leicas. Just a really easy camera to shoot with. Okay, I'm gonna get my shot right now. Love that. Part of me wishes the 907X had a mechanical shutter, but we're gonna rock it in the electronic shutter. Shutter speed's right here. ISO can be changed via the screen. Aperture right here, obviously. So this is why part of me wants the X2D is, anybody that's been following me for a while, I shoot in the desert a lot. Screen is very bright. I can see it just fine, but I would enjoy a viewfinder right now for this. This is a cool shot right here. So you guys can see the experience between these two cameras. Obviously, they're totally two different cameras, but the fulfillment and enjoyment of seeing that X-Pan crop in the back of here with this setup, it is something special. It's hard to explain. It's one of those things you have to kind of feel for yourself. It would be sick if there was some kind of electronic viewfinder attachment. I'm happy with that. Is it cool enough to print? No. Speaking of, guys, I don't know if you know this, but I'm now selling prints. Shout out to Head West. I will put a link down in the description. You can now buy my prints. Most of them were shot on that Fujifilm TX1 X-Pan. There's a couple of digital shots that were actually shot on this Hasselblad. They were shot with the 55 V lens, and I think one or two other of the V lenses. I do want to do even more prints, become a thing to where it's giving me a sense of purpose as a photographer. So you guys know I've been shooting fashion photography all my life. There's a lot of creativity and gratification, I should say, that I get from shooting fashion. But when it comes to shooting just random things where I enjoy shooting it, it always felt kind of pointless and useless. And printing is what has really awakened my passion just to, go out and shoot for no reason, because you might get something worth printing. I've been enjoying a lot more shooting stuff like this, and I'm excited. Yeah, so again, I'll put a link down in the description if you guys want to go check out those prints. And I sent it to Wilson's Film Lab in Arizona. Can we get that wind, can we turn that wind off, please?
Guys, can we cut the wind?
Don't you guys know I'm a shill YouTuber? Anyways, go back to this non-sponsored video of a $10,000 camera that was given to me by Hasselblad. Thank you, Hasselblad. I haven't given up on the aftermath of the fire up in our mountains. We'll go back into that, but we're out here in some dunes. The Hasselblad 907X. I may be in the works of trying to get to the X2D for more of my fashion stuff, because you guys will see. We'll say that for another video. But this 907X in the X-Pan mode is truly the closest experience I've gotten to enjoying shooting with the Fujifilm TX1, the Hasselblad X-Pan, whatever you want to call it. Looking through the viewfinder and seeing the X-Pan crop, it's just stunning. It's everybody who looks through it is like, oh my God, like that looks amazing. So I have two shots left on this Portra 400. Everyone's saying my Bronco with the new Armadillo hardtop looks like the Mars Rover. So this is kind of perfect. So the lens I have on here right now is the X-Pan's 45 millimeter. The only downside to these X-Pan lenses, they're all f4. You know, they're not the fastest lenses. And obviously when we put on the 907X, you're gonna see there's a little bit of a crop. So the viewfinder is very similar. If you've ever shot a Leica, how the viewfinder is just extremely clean, zero issues. The metering system is always readable. That's what makes Leica so magical, is like, it's so easy to use. There's no issues. This is the same exact experience, honestly. The viewfinder is just gorgeous on this thing. Let's get out the Hasselblad 907X. We'll throw the same lens on there and you guys will see how it equates. Let me just get one final shot here. I am pushing this roll one stop. Usually what I do is, say if it's 400 film, I will rate it at 200, but then I'll have them develop and scan it normally. No, don't love it. Maybe do a dead center one. Guys, I've done a lot of X-Pan shots of the Bronco, but I never post them or anything because they're just kind of, you know. Hopefully right here won't be in the shot. This isn't like a true 645 or a true, you know, X-Pan crop. X-Pan film cameras, they're two 35 millimeter frames side by side. So that makes it's like a 70 millimeter width, which is crazy. This is not close to that at all, but it's better than full frame. So 45 millimeter on the X-Pan is actually a 22 millimeter. But when we put on the 907X, that 45 will be a 35 millimeter. So you're gonna see, we're gonna lose a lot of that, you know, like vast width that makes it feel so epic from the X-Pan. There we go. You can see cool Hasselblad branding, everything on there. This is the hard part, is I really want the X2D because of the viewfinder for like those fashion shoots that I like to do. You know, I like to kind of move quick, and the viewfinder I think would kind of help that. But this is such a romantic experience. If you're just like a tech head and you're into cameras just because of the technology, which I feel is like half of the community now, maybe even more, you know, you might not think this is like important or whatever. But for me, as you know, this in my hand is so freaking inspiring. It's weird. Even just the look of it, the feel of it, the operation of it, knowing that I'm using an X-Pan lens on this beautiful, unique body, for me, just inspires me to shoot differently. This camera makes me shoot more in a stoic way, where the X2D would be more of a workhorse. So we'll see. I want to get my hands on that. The issue with going into electronic shutter mode on this, you're going to get rolling shutter because there's no physical shutter. So you have to try your best to remain as still as possible. Any little move, you're going to see the rolling shutter in there. So that is a downside. But again, this form factor is not made to be doing this, you know. It's supposed to be a stoic experience. It's supposed to be similar to, you know, medium format film using a top viewfinder. If you want to get over that rolling shutter, you can go into the menu and you could lower the image quality from 16-bit down to 14-bit, which will help that readout speed. Personally, I'd rather just keep it in 16-bit and try to be as still as possible. If you guys want more information on this, I'll put a video to Ben Heisch and he goes and breaks it down more, but I missed the light. Oh my God, there's so much dust on that sensor. All right. I know so many people just cringed what I just did. So you see, we do have this flip out screen here. We do have focus peaking turned on as well. And it works really well. See, so I just took a shot, zero rolling shutter. So you guys see, I'm not using a tripod or anything. So while it is bad, and I don't think this would be like a good like street photography experience, unless you had one of the leaf shutter lenses. So I know there's other cameras out there that I think like the Sony a7C II actually can do a X-Pan inspired crop, but it's not going to get you this experience though. Like this is truly a really, just look at this guys. This is a medium format camera and I can one hand it. That's kind of the joys of the screen. It's like the times where you don't need a viewfinder. This is just, look at this guys. Like I can't get over how fun this camera is, but I wouldn't mind, you know, having a viewfinder. I'm gonna put the Native 55V back on just because it's really dusty out here and I don't want to keep opening these lenses off and on. The X-Pan or Fuji, whatever you want to call it, the 45 millimeter for this lens system is definitely my favorite lens to use on this camera. If you want to get an equivalent focal length, Hasselblad has like I think they have a 28 millimeter and I think a 25 millimeter, which I want to get my hands on to get a similar framing and vibe. And also the 25 millimeter I think is like a f2.5. So for fashion work, that's like a f2 20 millimeter full frame type lens. So I really want to try that out. But we're just going to be using the 55 millimeter, which essentially is like a 40 millimeter, which is still one of my favorite focal lengths. I feel like on X-Pan, it's a little tight. I don't have my lens blower on me, so don't judge me. You see the lens is dusty as well. All my stuff's dusty. What's cool is when you're in autofocus, you simply put down that little gear, and you want to go manual focus, lift it, and we have our hard stops and everything, except the wheel does keep spinning, but you can feel the hard stops on the lens. Turn electronic shutter back off just so we're not dealing with any rolling shutter or anything like that. Since there is no physical shutter in the camera, the reason Hasselblad does that is because their lenses have the shutter. It's a leaf shutter. Guys, I'm telling you, vest for photographers. I got 2 pockets here. I'll put a link to this to Master Supply Co.'s website directly to this vest. But having upper pockets like this, like Jericho knows, I lose stuff so easily. So just having a vest where I can roll around in, it's leather, it makes life better for these adventurous fun shoots. As Jericho and I were passing this tree, both of us were like, ooh, just really beautiful. Again, it's a burnt tree, but the way it's coming out, it almost looks like it's, it gives me Wizard of Oz vibes. So again, we are shooting infrared film. I've never shot infrared film, so I am beyond excited what this is gonna look like. Let's just do 5.6. Oh, there's something just about a film camera when you hear that shutter slap and the film advance, there's something physical to the experience that makes you feel like a photographer. I know some people are like, oh, that doesn't matter. And I agree, if we're just doing work here, I don't give 2 shits about all that. But there is something romantic and inspiring being a photographer and actually have a film camera in your hand, especially like, I think this is a titanium body. I could be wrong. The wood grip on this, like just all the textures, looking through the viewfinder, the experience as a photographer is really engaging to the brain and to the creativity, which I find important. And that's one of the reasons I love this camera so much. Again, I am insanely curious to try out the X2D just because the viewfinder and that camera is a little bit more of a workhorse, which I need for photo shoots. But for stuff like this, like the 907X is just stunning. So when you put on native Hasselblad lenses, for some reason, they don't let you set this dial to shutter speed. I don't know why. But I have my lens set to it, and then this changes the aperture. I kind of wish Hasselblad would let you just customize all the buttons on here. There's only like 2 or 3 on here. So we're back on the X-Pan. I'm gonna underexpose this just by 1 more stop. Something that X-Pan has really done for me is gave me a lot of motivation and intention when it comes to printing. I've always dreamt of printing, but for some reason I never gotten into it until I picked up an X-Pan camera. Then all of a sudden I was like, oh. And I think it's the fact it's X-Pan, it's super wide and immersive. And when you do giant prints like that, you feel like you're there. And it was crazy to see film printed like that, but also to see images from this camera printed in the X-Pan format as well. It's like 2 totally different feeling things, but you still get that same immersive feeling. Also down here, the shadows, the trees, this is gonna be sick. This is what's fun about a viewfinder is like, it's kind of impossible to see if this is gonna be a good shot or not. When I first got this camera, literally the next day I took a road trip to Arizona. And the first thing I found out was this is extremely difficult to compose with just because you do have so much to fill in the frame. So you have to be very strategic where you go to shoot and what you shoot and all of that. This definitely isn't worth the print, which makes me not want to shoot it, but if you guys have been digging these cinematic, Western, neo-noir, Blade Runner music type vibes, big shout out to audio.com. A few of the songs, including the one you're hearing right now, are actual custom songs that Audio made me specifically for my type of world building. I'll be sure to have a link down below with a discount code, so if you guys are interested in checking out my songs or any of their AI tools, look for that link down below and give it a click. All right guys, I really wish I had a black and white profile on this, but the reason we stopped here, I kind of found the contrast of the green brush with the burnt trees and the burnt side of the hill, just like really beautiful. If I find a good frame, I'll get the X-Pan out with the infrared film in it. But if not, we'll just enjoy it on the Hasselblad. Again, I really do think a wider lens would give a better experience with shooting X-Pan on this. But you know, we're using what we have. I'm definitely not a landscape photographer. Yeah, it's hard because in person, this looks like very intriguing, but on camera, it loses a lot of its power. So this lens at f8, this thing is like insanely sharp, like dare I say too sharp. Again guys, the whole point of me shooting this stuff is to hunt for prints, and none of this feels print worthy, so I'm just gonna move on because I am failing here. All right guys, we just passed some wood. Got a beautiful shot of some wood. This frame, this is beautiful. There's trees right here. I'm gonna center those in frame. We have a burnt hillside over here, and then beautiful contrast, like really light dirt and then dark dirt. Guys, sorry if the DJI mic is showing my boobies, but this spot, this is beautiful. We have the sun hitting these trees, creating lots of shadows. We have a lot of junk down here though. It looks like someone had a party and got naked or shit their pants or something. And then on this side, we have dark green foreground, the light mountain in the back, a little bit of pop of green from the mountain in the backdrop, and then blue skies. This is absolutely beautiful. It looks otherworldly. All right, so even though in person this looks stunning, I know in camera it's gonna be a little bit difficult. Best thing to do is literally to look through your viewfinder. This is cool. Ooh, okay. So that tree there, I'm gonna center frame it. I'm gonna use these two trees as foreground. This is gonna be an absolutely beautiful shot. Jared and I were talking on the way down here, and we were just saying how when you shoot film and you're about to take the shot and you're framing up, you like hold your breath if you get to breathe, because it's like a beautiful anxiety-inducing experience. And right when you hit that shutter and you hear the shutter slap and the film advance, you take a breath, and it's almost therapeutic. Oh yeah, it looks totally different through camera on this. No matter what your aperture is on the lens, it keeps the lens wide open for your preview. So in order to see what your actual depth of field looks like, I basically have been taking the shot and going back to playback. I don't believe there's a depth of field preview on this. Yeah, I need a wider lens for this. Hasselblad. Let your boy chill out for you guys. A wider lens. This is the most cinematic looking. I guess they're not undies. I think they're like shorts. Like, what is this? Who's hiding? And there's like a blazer. We're shooting on blazer lenses. Hair in my mouth. Yeah, look, there's like, this is weird. We're in a crime scene right now, guys. Oh, look at it though. It's a beautiful crime scene. Oh, that's good. Gets me every time. 7 left. Okay, we're doing good. Again, I really could use a viewfinder just because of how freaking bright it is out here. Let's do a shot where we focus on this twig here. Ooh, that autofocus is good. And do playback real quick to see. Yeah, that's pretty. I like that. I like it a lot. Yeah, this is beautiful. Kind of getting like a sweeping motion. It looks like the fire almost came up and like the power of the fire like blew everything this way. I'm really excited to see what this infrared film looks like. The light's kind of interesting here. We have a streak here, some shadows. This definitely looked better when we first came through. I probably should have took a shot then. What I was waiting for though is more shadow streaks, but I think we missed our chance just by like 30 minutes, but it's still not horrible. But we're just gonna get a vista shot. So there is one cool wide shot here, but again, our light, we lost the really cool contrasty light. So I don't even know if it's worth it, honestly. But that was one cool vista shot. You see, this almost reminds me of Horseshoe Bend right here. This lens is too tight. I'll see if I could do one on the X-Pan. I could stand on the tire here. That was dangerous. Kind of hurt my back a little bit. I'm not getting old. Yeah, it's just it's almost there. Not worth it, honestly. That one's kind of interesting, but again, there's not a whole lot of contrast. And the infrared, it would be super interesting to see, but it's really flat, so I don't think it's gonna do much, honestly. But while I'm up here, let's see what the Hassie looks like. Yeah, wide angle lens would be magical for X-Pan. I know I've said that a million times on here, but I feel like I lose the immersiveness of X-Pan when the lens is too tight. So like a 40 millimeter feels too tight, but a 45, that's actually like divide the width by 2. So I think that's like a 45 would be 22.5 or something like that. So I'm assuming this 55 is kind of like it's probably like a 43, 42 millimeter. So we're literally getting twice as much width on this 45 millimeter on the X-Pan versus 55 on here. We're losing a lot of like that big, expansive, immersive X-Pan width on there. The 28 millimeter would be more equivalent to like a 22, 24 maybe. I don't know. Math. I used to be good at math. I still might be. We'll find out in the edit. All right, I'm gonna get the drone out. I'll put a link in the description to the first video I did. I shot a lot of it on the DJI Action 5, but I got some really beautiful anamorphic shots of when the fires originally happened. What I imagined when I had the idea to document the fires, getting standing burnt trees like this. We have 2 shots left. Sedona, come here. I think this might be it. Let's see. Right here. It's 2 barren right there. I'm trying to, everything I do, I try to shoot from the shadow side. I chanced the last shot because Sedona was in it. I was trying to get her in it. I have no idea where the focus was. Might have been a little bit underexposed, but yeah. Let's get the 907X out and wrap up the rest of these shots while we have some cool light. We'll probably lose light in 10 minutes right over that peak. This is a very unique, special experience that kind of meets digital with a filmic experience. It's similar to, you know, Hasselblad 500, 600s, whatever they're called, Mamiya's, whatever it is. We have the top-down viewfinder. It makes you shoot different. And being able to see, you know, the X-Pan, the true X-Pan crop on the back of the screen really just, it does something for the imagination, the same way looking through the viewfinder of the Fujifilm or Hasselblad X-Pan film cameras. So yeah, while there's other cameras that do this and can give you a similar experience to being inspired by that X-Pan crop. There's none that do it the way that this camera does it, the 907X here. So no, this isn't sponsored by Hasselblad. I just genuinely enjoy working with this camera. I think to finish off this video, because we got like 2 seconds of light left, I'm gonna get a portrait of Sedona and X-Pan. Guys, what do you think about the look of this video? We're shooting on the DJI Ronin 4D with the 8K head and sensor. This is Jericho's first time using it. As you can see, it's very, I would say, intuitive, but there is a learning curve. So the more you use it, the better you're gonna get, obviously. So, but yeah, this is literally Jericho's first time using it. And I feel like, from what I've seen so far, we've gotten some pretty magical shots. Yeah. And Jericho wants to use it for every shoot now, which is shocking because it's a lot of effort just because of the weight and shutting it down, booting it up. It's a lot. It's a compared to just run and gun, flipping on a Sony FX3 and just letting it go with some lens flare in there. All right, Sedona. There we go.